So, I've noticed in the last year or so that there's been a surge or explosion of these people releasing this new genre of metal, or maybe you could call it type of metal. I'm not really sure what to call it. Anyways, here it is. Links to all these songs here are in the description. Please go show these talented people and creators some love. So not that this is new, we have some videos like this that are a few years old, but basically this genre is incredibly talented people making music in the style of another band, or even more specifically, the style of a band's album. You know, I'm not really sure what to call this, so watch the video and then give me your thoughts for a name for this. This is different from covering, as instead of simply playing the song in the style of the original, or even your own style, you create a new song with pieces from famous tracks or transform an existing one into an already existing or famous style. There's a definite difference here. It is sort of like a version of metal vaporwave in a sense, that it is a way of reinterpreting music for nostalgic purposes. But now, before you get your pitchforks ready, I'll explain that statement a bit later. But here's another example. Here they took a Metallica song and remade it in the style of an earlier album. This is And Justice for All, the song, if it was on Ride the Lightning. Here we are working with double nostalgia. First, with the song being transformed, we all know how And Justice for All sounds. You know, the riffs, the sound, the lyrics, etc. And then they morph it to sound like it was on Ride the Lightning, which means subtly changing all the riffs, the song structure, and most importantly, the production. It has that iconic, icy Ride the Lightning sound. Really, really good stuff, which is why the sound's so cool. It's just a double dose of nostalgia done very, very well. You know, even the riffs take motifs and cues from Ride the Lightning songs to change up the original riffs. The vocals too, they sound so good. You know, even the structure of how they have the vocals. Oh man, it's so good. Ride the Lightning in particular has a very distinct sound, so I always enjoy the ones that are made in the style of this album. Same with And Justice for All, a very distinct sounding album. Speaking of that, here's another example, this time transforming a different band's song into another band's sound. This is Holy Wars if it was made by Metallica and was on And Justice for All, the album. Here we get an iconic song from Megadeth, reimagined to be written and performed by Metallica. And to my ears, this is exactly what that would have sounded like. This is actually incredible. It's really, really good. I unironically listened to this on my own. You know, and then there's a whole other style where it's the voices of the singers being replaced using AI voice changers, such as this. How could he know this new dawn's light would change his life forever? Or they perform the vocals themselves, such as when I did the leprosy type vocals on Spirit Crusher. Or when, like this very talented gentleman here, he redid the entire And Justice for All album as a death metal release. Fantastic stuff. I think we're just beginning to scratch the surface here with what is possible. I know stuff like this has been going on for years, but the recent upswing in popularity and use of AI voice changers is really a game changer. I mean, the James Hetfield AI voice changer is, to my ears at least, very, very good. In some parts, it is dead on. Others, maybe not so much, but you know, what can you do? And these will only get better as time goes on. And despite whatever you think about AI creating art, this is a whole other topic for another video, so I won't go too deep on this. You must admit this is a far better use of it than creating AI slop content. And at least when people have done this way, it takes a modicum of work and effort to make this good. Personally, the next step I would like to see is AI drum sampling or transforming drum tracks into the sound of other kits. You know, drums are such a big part and a vital part of the sound of albums and bands. So if AI is able to do a similar thing that it can to voices, would it be possible to maybe do this for drums? Have this drum sound be transformed by AI? Or perhaps, an AI could even analyze the drum tracks and create samples for it, right? A kick, snare, cymbals, etc., etc. That would be amazing and make people's lives a lot easier. And then there's even people who are posting videos about how close they can get the guitar tone to various famous albums. And a lot of people are getting very, very, very close. What's up, guys? Just out here in Canada. And I was thinking, I forgot about, in the voiceover, to mention Nick Nocturnal's series, Anything Can Be Metal. That's another thing that's sort of similar to this, but not really, but I figured it deserved a mention. So I think we're on the brink of creating a whole new subgenre in metal, and people are really taking this to a great, new, fantastic, creative level. Personally, I would like to be able to find these tracks much easier, as the YouTube search function has been complete dog for a while now, making it almost impossible to find stuff. Even stuff that should be easy to find is difficult, and why when I search for things has given me completely unrelated videos in a search, anyways, that's another thing. So maybe we could label this stuff. I'm just throwing out some names here. Sound-alike metal, clone core, nostalgia metal, vapor metal, nostalgia core. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out here. Leave your thoughts down below. Anything just to give it an easily searchable tag to find it. It's hard to find stuff when you have to search Metallica, but if it was on Ride the Lightning, etc., it just comes up with a whole bunch of results that aren't even close to being related to what I'm trying to look for. And most of the music I have shown you here, I just saw in my recommendations feed, or from the related videos to one of the other videos, or by clicking on the channels of these creators. It's hard to search for this stuff. So we need a tag, we need a searchable way to look for this stuff. So anyways, yeah, to leave what you think it should be down below. I'd be curious. As a community, let's try to come up with some sort of consensus to tag everything the same so we can find this easily. But what did I mean earlier by this being a sort of vaporwave moment for metal? Well, to me, metal, and this is not limited to metal by any means, it is more of a societal thing, is to a large extent a very backwards looking genre. I mean, look at the lineups to festivals. The same bands are headlining now as they were 20 years ago for the most part, and just look at my Spotify on repeat. I guess you could say I'm a metal YouTuber who likes to keep up with the latest metal and everything like that, but how much of this was made pre 9/11? Ignore the Drake, this is just my pre-gym session music. My point being here is that people in metal are always attracted to the classics. The classics are classics for a reason, right? And the sound of these albums carry with them emotional and nostalgic weight for being released in a time that seems completely distant from where we are now as a society and a culture. Never mind that a lot of these albums that people are basing these remakes on are 20, 30, or even 40 years old. All this adds to the nostalgic factor. I'm not trying to get too deep onto this topic of metal being a backwards looking genre, but I think we all just implicitly know this. Styles of metal have been around for 20, 30, 40 years and have a much longer lasting relevancy in the scene, I guess you could say, than many other genres of music where trends come and go. Whereas, a metal band will continue steadfast into their sort of lane forever, I guess, if that makes any sense. Of course, there are tons of exceptions, and there's lots of great new metal music coming out. This is just a trend I've noticed. But now Vaporwave did something similar back in the 2010s, creating a genre of music that was intentionally designed to evoke feelings of nostalgia, familiarity, and longing for another time. Often this was done by full-on sampling of popular music from those times, so 80s, the 90s. But for other artists, they simply used production elements, drums, keys, guitars, motifs, stereotypical sounds of these eras to create brand new songs that have nostalgic emotions attached to them. For two great examples of this, check out Dan Mason and Windows 96. In a sense, this is sort of what is happening now with metal, but there's also a distinct difference to Vaporwave, where in Vaporwave, the idea was to simply evoke the feeling of nostalgia in this wavy, warped VHS tape, dreamlike, aesthetic. In metal, we are pretty picky about production. So the goal here, in contrast to Vaporwave, is to get as close as possible to the feeling and sound of the original material one is basing their stuff off. Add in a double dose of nostalgia in the fact that it's often another famous song being reimagined in another famous style, and now we have nostalgia on both sides. So it's the same, but different to the vaporwave movement. Both are trying to evoke nostalgia, but in two very different approaches. But yeah, this is all pretty exciting, and don't worry, there's always new and exciting metal music coming out to listen to, but sometimes it's fun to take a detour and immerse yourself in metal in a different way. And a lot of these people are very creative and make great music here, so this is good. I really think this is only the beginning of this new style. Like I said earlier, people are getting very good at this, and AI tools such as voice changers, track separators, and others are allowing this to happen. Me personally, I'm planning on doing a reimagining of a few death tracks and a different album style, so not only the vocals, but everything else. So if anyone has any tips or hints on how to get the drum sound from the Sound of Perseverance, please let me know. I, for one, would also like to see more bands other than Megadeth and Metallica be done in this style. Like, let's get a little bit blasphemous with this here. I'm talking, what if Ronnie James Dio made Mr. Crowley? What if Judas Priest made Aces High? What if Ozzy Osbourne did Holy Diver? What if Pantera made Man in the Box? What if Limp Bizkit made Blind? What if Megadeth made Dr. Feelgood? What if Def Leppard made When Doves Cry? What if Blind Guardian made Eagle Fly Free? What if Obituary made Pull the Plug? What if Immortal made Transylvanian Hunger? And what if Alice in Chains made One Last Breath? And man, there are just so many others that I could just sort of imagine in my head, but I'll just stop here. The possibilities here are near endless and are only limited by the creativity of individuals who make them. But yeah, so what do you think of this new trend? Are you excited, or do you maybe hate this? Leave your thoughts down below. I'm always curious to read what you guys think, and I enjoy reading all your comments. I try to read all of them, but sometimes there's a lot, so I just try to keep up. And if you know of any other cool remakes here in this style, please leave them down in the comments. I love listening to all these, and it's, like I said earlier, it's hard to find them. So please leave them down below. And yeah, let's just try to find a unified, searchable term for this style as well. So thanks for watching. Cheers.